Your next drawings on Google Classroom are going to have you be drawing some SketchUp blocks that are very similar, well, exactly the same, to the ones that we sketched on pencil and paper. So we'll be starting with 1.2.1 and going through that whole packet, and you'll be drawing those blocks on SketchUp. And I'll have this video is going to walk you through how to draw them, which was very easy, shouldn't take you long at all. But it's also going to show you how to print them, which is the part that is more important in terms of your grade and things that you have not done so far. So, as you can see here, I've got a SketchUp window open. For this one, it does not matter. You can choose any measurements that you want for your template. I'm just going to stick with woodworking inches, but if you want to do feet, if you want to do centimeters, meters, millimeters, whatever you're comfortable with, go ahead and do that for this one. I'm going to stick with woodworking inches, and here we go. So 1.2.1, you already have that attached to this assignment, and pretty basically putting it, you have a 12 by 12 by 12 block. So let's just start there, and I'll go quickly here and not talk too much. 12 by 12, push pulling it, 12 up. There's our block. There's a lot of ways to draw this. You don't have to follow the way that I draw it if you don't want. I'm going to use the tape measure tool here, and then I'm going to fill that back in with a line. Push pull that back 4, and this was 4 in. Get rid of that template. Oops, I went too far on that push pull. Should have only been 2. So when I pushed it, pulled back 2 more. 8 by 8 rectangle up here. And this gets pushed 4 down. Erase that line. And there is 1.2.1. So very, very, very easy for anyone to draw. Okay, File, Save As. Before I send anything to Layout, I have to, of course, name it so that I can save it. I'm not sure those points will work. Let's see. I'm just going to put mine on my desktop. Alright, so it's saved. And now we're going to send it to Layout. Layout is open for us now. And remember that we want to choose our paper size now. A4 is not what we want. We want something that is letter size. And in our case, we're going to look for a blank one. Based upon the drawing, you can choose landscape or portrait. We just have to make sure it says letter. I'm going to go with landscape. And there is our first document. So a couple of things that I like to do when I am having to print off some accurate prints. I go up here, first thing you want to do up here is go to View, and we want to Show Grid, and you can see the little check mark show. That won't print off. It just kind of helps us see where we're going. And then go to Arrange, and we want to make sure that we're kind of locking into our grid here. Let's see if that is working the way we want it to. Yeah. And turn on our object snap so that they pull in together, and you'll see why all that's important in a minute. So your assignment on Google Classroom says that I need to have a top, front, right side, and isometric view. So we're going to have 4 views, and you can set this however you want. We're going to try to get to about 1/4 of the page here in terms of the size of this view. Now, one view, this is going to be my top. I'm starting there. I guess we can start in the front. Let's move it down and start in the front. And I tried to make this window about the 1/4 of the whole page here. I right-click it. I want to turn perspective off. Okay? And it zooms way out, and that's okay for now. We'll fix that. So let's get our front view all set before we start making any of our other views. So I zoom it in, and then I can just click off of it, right-click on it again, and I have this option when I right-click it. All these views pop up, and we want this one to be the front view. So there is the front view. I'm going to try to center that, maybe make it a little bit bigger. And so now we have a good look at our front view. I want to make sure it stayed in front view. And we are all set with one of the views. Once you have one view all set, that is when it's easier now to make copies of it. So I click on it just once. I'm going to push Control and that little plus sign pops up. And then I'm going to hold, while holding Control and my mouse to drag it up, I'm also going to hold it right above there. And we'll kind of get it right about there. So now they're perfectly lined up above each other. I right click it and we want this one to be the top view. There's my top view. Go back to this front view. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm holding Control. I'm dragging it over. And this view we want to be the right side view. So now I have my top, my front, and my right side. Those are pretty easy. If I want to move them around and get them centered, I can drag a window and select them all and try to center them on my paper some. There we go. And I'm only missing one view now, and that's in the upper right hand corner. You can make a copy of any view you want. I'm just going to use this one for now, and I'm going to make a copy of this window. I'm going to drag it over there. I'm going to try to get it right above this one. And then we'll zoom in. I can see I'm not quite perfect here. Okay, so now I've got that one lined up. I'm really close to perfect. Maybe not 100%, but that's good enough for what we're trying to do there, where I don't think you'll be able to tell with the naked eye kind of thing. In this upper right view, we need to be isometric. So I right click, and I go down here again, and there's actually an ISO option as well. Zoomed in a little too much, so I double click, zoom out just a tad, and now I have top, front, right side, isometric. Let's get rid of our grid, hide grid. Okay, so the next few things we have to do are dimension. We have to dimension our drawings. Once I click on my dimensioning tool, I'm going to want to go over here, and you can choose all your different styles there. It goes above the line, center of the line, below the line. There's a ton of different things. I'm just going to stick with what I have now. All my measurements should be pretty easy. And also attached to your Google Classroom assignment was a PDF called Rules of Dimensioning. I want you to kind of try to go through that. It's only 4 or 5 slides, I believe, and they kind of talk about how to dimension something. I'll try my best here. Basically what we want to get used to doing is your biggest ones should be the furthest away. Okay? So right now that says 1 foot. I already don't like that. So we're going to get rid of that. And let's go decimal style and see what that looks like. Too many decimals. Let's change our precision. Again, in a simple drawing like this, we don't need much. That looks way cleaner. 12 inches. So because this block's also 12, I want to put the big number 12 in between them because they share that dimension. Okay? And then this right here would have to then go over top of this. We don't want that. You can see right there where it's crossing over it. This view is a much easier view to give that measurement. Okay? Same thing here. Instead of giving this one in this view, the front view, it's easier to give that in the top view and slide it down. And then you see that that's kind of where we need it. We can then add this one as well and line them up. And I'm just going to keep adding my dimensions. We do not need to have all dimensions present in the drawing. Well, I shouldn't say that. You need all of them present, but once they're given once, you don't need to repeat them. So I have 4 right here. I don't need to have 4 over here. I have 8 right here. I don't need to have 8 right there because they're given in other locations, if that makes sense to you. Here's our bell for lunch. Maybe I'll add this one right here. And again, the idea is to keep it nice and clean and not too many dimensions, but we need enough so that we can kind of figure out what we're doing here. So while I have this one at 8, that means I don't need to give this dimension. I don't need to say that this is 4, because Because I know the total is 12. If I know this is 8, I can just do the math and know that it's 4 here. So that's probably all the dimensions that we need. So there's our dimensions. Let's add our name somewhere. We're going to put ours right there. Mr. Grady. Figure 1.2.1. If you want to add the date, feel free. You guys can do whatever you want for naming it. 77 is definitely not right. 17, there we go. Okay. And let's kind of have some fun playing around with the font. Pick whatever you think looks good. If you want to move that somewhere, you can move it wherever you'd like. Justify it off to the right. However you want to do it, it's just fine by me. Whatever you guys think looks good. I'm going to try to get it all, my goal right now. Get it all in one line, kind of. There we go. So it fits in there nice. So there's my drawing. I'm now ready to turn it in. So I hit Control P. I want to choose BRHS Lab 303. Print one copy. Print. And now you are done with this drawing. Remember, you're going to do 1.2.2, 1.2.3, so on and so forth for that whole packet. You're going to staple all these together, turn them in just like we did before. And this is how we're going to do the next few SketchUp drawings where we're drawing parts.